Well, hey, I know you were just talking about how much you love cowbell. Next up on the list is my number 2 song in the ranking. We've got All for the Love of Rock and Roll next on the list. I freaking love this song. I'm gonna go first, and then I'm gonna give it right to Billy so he can just shit on my enthusiasm. So I'm gonna go.
This is definitely my number 1 poo-poo song. So I guess this is my last rank. Look, here's the thing. I don't think any of these songs are just downright horrible. I just don't think any of them. This is the least good song on this album, or the least mediocre song. It's like D plus. Like, all right, we'll let you slide, but you didn't fail. This is very reminiscent to me of like Peter Criss's solo album, just like a different, like, it's like a weird, slow, nostalgic song that I have no nostalgia for. It's just not for me. Look, Greg, I know you love Peter Criss's solo album. That's my least favorite of the solo albums. Maybe bottom 3 Kiss albums, period. It's just not for me. And this song is reminiscent of that. I just don't like it. After I listened to it for this podcast, and I think now I can safely retire that song and never listen to it again.
Well, to summarize, C's get degrees, and in this case, the C stands for cowbell.
So much cowbell. What are we doing, guys? This is out of control.
Well, much in the way that the Hot Takes podcast is engaged in discussion, often between 2 opposing viewpoints of why someone loves a movie and why someone doesn't, I'm going to give you the positive of why I love the song. So, yes, I love the Peter Criss 78. So we talked about it a little bit. We were chatting back and forth about how I did a lot of that kind of music in high school, and just that kind of music just feels very natural to me. It just is just part of my core musical being. And one of the reasons I loved Kiss so much was that Peter's influence was in there, and there was those elements of like soul and R&B and Motown and swing that he brought into the band. And on the last album, All for the Glory, it felt like Paul writing a slicker version of Black Diamond, a slicker Black Diamond, but didn't really write necessarily a Peter song. This is a song that really has like the swing and soul of Peter Criss, but there's still a lot of classic Kiss in there, where like the riff is very Mr. Speed-esque. That's very rock and roll over. So the song has a rock and roll over groove and vibe to it, with a Peter-esque melody, with a Peter-esque lyric. But I think it's so sincere about just like wanting to go out and play music because you love it. And it's also kind of like a quasi-sequel to Hotter Than Hell, where the woman with the ring on her finger, she's like, I'm single tonight, baby. So it's just, for me, it's fun. It's got a great melody. Eric has a great voice. The only thing is that it feels very weird how Peter-esque this is, but I think that Paul wrote a song that had that rock and roll over groove and realized it would be a good fit for Eric and offers a good change of pace for the album. So I love it. And in terms of melody, I think this is, only second to the great magnum opus of the album, which we'll get to later. But I sincerely, sincerely love it. I know it's not for you and not for everybody, but I hope I was able to articulate why it, brings out the joy in my soul, because as a man who has written multiple songs with rock in the title about how awesome rock is, hey, here's a song about how awesome rock is by the Kitty Cat guy with the jazz influence. I like it.
Good for you, man. Follow what makes you happy.
Follow your heart.
Chase your bliss.
Anyway, before I go watch Frozen 2 again, Steve, what's your thoughts on this one?
What are we talking about? All for the Love of Rock and Roll. Let me check my notes. Oh yeah, it's a pretty standard middling Kiss type song. Like, I'm checking my notes, and it turns out most of this album is standard middling Kiss type songs, and this one's right in the middle of them, just with too much cowbell.
So it's a middling middle Kiss song.
What? I might have just blown this thing wide open. This song is pretty okay. 6 out of 10. C Not quite C+. High C, though.
Mike, you also put it in the middle. Do you love it as much as I do?
I do love it about as much as you do. I think I don't even really have anything to contribute beyond your analysis. You hit on the pseudo sequel, The Hotter Than Hell. You hit on the Peter Criss vibes, even though Paul wrote it. Just a feel good song. I made a lot of people happy. In terms of Kiss fans, I just remember it generally. Either it got good, either it was fairly ranked high, or it was getting shat on for being too much like All for the Love of Rock and Roll, which I know is a Ram Jam song, but it's actually a Tough Darts cover. I don't know. I mean, there's some overlap. I think it's just a different type of song to me, though. This one has a slower, just more of a groove type feel. Are there similarities? For sure. Yeah, I don't know, but you pretty much hit it also. I don't need to repeat everything you said.
Jamie, you also ranked it high. Do you love this one also?
Yeah, I think it's great. I really like Eric's songs, Eric's voice, so I dig this track big time, really. One of the things that I noted is that this is the kind of thing that I'd like to hear from Tommy, but we'll get onto Tommy's track later, I suppose. In that, to me, this didn't sound like the kind of song that you would hear Peter sing, because, Peter has kind of Peter's personality, so Eric doesn't have to, sing about having a massive cock and being a gangster. So yeah, it's just like it's a cool kind of pop rock song. It sounds a bit like a Cheap Trick song, and I really like Cheap Trick. But then again, Cheap Trick just sound like Kiss. So yeah, the only thing that bothers me about this track is that there are mouth noises all the way throughout it. It's like, if you're gonna compress something that heavily, just get and edit the fucking vocal. You can hear like lip smacks all the time, and it drives me mad.
Oh, gross.
I know, right?
Jamie's a producer for listeners at home.
Yeah, I pick up on things like that.
Greg, I don't know if you've noticed how heavily I edit your vocals to get rid of any lip smacks ever. No mouth sounds. They're gross.
Lipsticks.
Oh no, I've noticed, because you complain about it when I'm in the room. Like, Greg, you suck. Stop doing this. Like, I'm a human. Stop being a human. Be a cyborg.
I complain about myself breathing on the microphone too. I'm like, chop out all the spaces. I don't edit these.
Well, hey, next up on the list, we've got it looks like the highest ranked Gene song on the album. We've got Bat to the Stone Age next on the list. So, conceptually, I think this is amazing, because it is so stupid. It's like, I sing about being caveman. I rock like caveman. And
isn't this like the third time they've done that?
But I think this is the one that's like most literally Bat to the Stone Age, and the idea like, man, modern society doesn't get me. I just wish things could go back to the way they were, where I could be like politically incorrect because I'm an old person.
The lack of self-awareness on this song is staggering. Actually, when I listened to it this time, I was like, was there like a Flintstones reboot movie that they were going to use this for the end credits, and then it just didn't happen? They're like, just put it on this Kiss album. Like, it feels like a tie-in end credit song to a movie that just never was made. But go put on the 1994 Flintstones and then mute the end credits and put this song on. It syncs up perfectly.
Yeah, so before we get into much more into it, I will say this is a song that inspired a Lipstick song. Rock and Roll Boulder, parentheses, Big Rock, was inspired by this song, where I'm like, man, I want to write a stupid caveman song. What's the dumbest thing I could write a song about? Writing a rock song about a literal rock. Rock and Roll Boulder, Big Rock. So,
girl, I want to put my big rock in you.
Yep. What an absolute classic of our catalog, which we never play because, our Vinnie Vincent co-wrote that song. He threatens us with legal action when we just try to do normal band things. But yeah, so that's the inspiration for this, Steve. I'm sure you noticed that now that you're connecting the dots. But yeah, it's just so fun and so goofy, and that's That's what I want. I want to laugh at the Gene songs, and this does it, and it just puts a smile on my face. Jamie, does this put a smile on your face?
I've been kind of taken aback by the Vinnie Vincent kind of comment there, that you were in a band with a Vinnie Vincent type. Did he kill dogs too?
Probably. I guess.
Yeah, but it would be for fun if he did it.
All right, yeah, fair enough. Yeah, but back to the Stone Age. I think it's got one of Gene's best screams in the entire Kiss catalogue in it, including all live albums. I love that scream at the start. I think it's great. To me, it always sounds like Kiss trying to write "Let There Be Rock" with the whole "in the beginning" nonsense. But yeah, it's fine. I'm not that arsed about it. I really like gang vocals, as I'm sure you all know. So I do like the gang vocal bits in the chorus. But yeah, this doesn't really get stuck in my head very often. I think it's a bit of a dumb song, but it's fine.
And Mike, how do you feel about this one? I believe this is the only song in the catalog co-written by the current lineup of Kiss, every member having a co-write.
Yeah, I mean, not too many songs have all four members as a co-write. I mean, if any era. Yeah, no, I love it. It's fun. It just rocks. It just I mean, it's stupid, like in a fun way to me. I mean, I guess if Gene actually thought he was like waking up and turning into a caveman or something, then that would be dumb. But I don't take it literally. I just think it's a guy who plays rock music and has made a living off of rock music, just having fun. Again, if it's not Kiss's last album, it's definitely their second to last or just about the end of their career, and it's just guys having fun at this point. Like Jamie said, it's got a great scream. I love that energy. And again, that's where I think that's another example for me where Monster excels even over Sonic Boom. It's way more intense for Gene than anything he did on Sonic Boom, and I don't think that intensity means better or lack of intensity means worse, but again, it's an example of them just pushing things a little bit farther on Monster for me.
Yeah, I agree. I was actually thinking as you were saying that this song wouldn't fit into the box that Sonic Boom had. There were very tight parameters of what they had to do, and they even went back and recycled old Gene demos and then made those the songs on Sonic Boom, so it sounded like authentic 70s Gene. This doesn't sound like a 70s Gene song, but it sounds like Gene just having fun in 2012, being like, man, things were so much cooler when I could just harass women and not get in trouble for it. And sometimes society progresses for the better, Papa Gene. But yeah, it's goofy, it's fun. I can't help but smile when I listen to it. Thumbs up. Any other comments on Back to the Stone Age before we move on?
That first couple of seconds, that really growly bass tone, that's some of my favorite moments of this album.
Dude, Steve loves this album.
Also, this song really sounds like Jet, which is a little bit weird.
Yeah, it does have a Jet element to it.
Yeah, it's very much got I didn't bother to check when Jet's album came out because I don't care that much, but I'm pretty sure it was before this. It's like, did Gene get really into Jet and decided I'm going to crib that style?
I know the song was inspired by the MC5.
Huh.
Yeah, it does have an MC5 kind of vibe to it. It's played way too precisely for the MC5, but I can see how the MC5 would inspire this kind of thing.
What if the MC5 were good at their instruments and sexist?
I can't follow that up with something clever. Next up is Out of This World.
Oh, remember that snarky comment I made about Tommy Thayer earlier?
Yes.
Is it Thayer or Tayer?
I believe it's Thayer.
Okay, well, just fly that comment in again.
All right. Snarky comment about Tommy trying to be Ace. So, Steve, you're saying this is just a generic I'm trying to be Ace song.
I mean, that's absolutely what it is. I mean, try to say something clever about, oh, look at them being sneaky about trying to be Ace, but there's nothing sneaky about it. This is just flat out. They're like, let's do an Ace song about space and have the guitarist sing it.
So, for the longest time, I didn't care for this song, and I didn't understand what they were trying to do, because it didn't have, Ace songs and Spaceman songs have a certain offbeat rhythm to them. And so I was listening to this and be like, this is way too tight, and the way that the chords are playing against the drums aren't like any other Ace or Spaceman songs, but it's still called Out of This World. What are they trying to do here? And then I thought about it in a different context, and I realized this is just a Black and Blue song. This is a Black and Blue style song done with modern production. If you think about the way that the chords are playing against the melody, and you think about that chorus where they've got the big gang vocals going back and forth with the lead singer, this is a hair metal song, but done with monster production. And so when I looked at it in the context of this is Tommy Thayer, one of the principal songwriters of Black and Blue, doing a Black and Blue style song but with space lyrics, it's authentic to his influences, authentic to where he comes from musically, is a very authentically Tommy song. And honestly, if Black and Blue wrote a song in the 80s about Girl Get On My Rocket, it would have fit in on a hair metal album in the 80s, whether or not it was sung by the Spaceman and Kiss. Like, give it production on the first couple Black and Blue albums, this would go right next to Hold On to 18 very well in terms of the writing. It's just the production hides that so well. But when I looked at it in that context, I actually grew to love the song over this last week listening to it and being like, wow, this is a song I didn't give a lot of credit for. Thought it was just one of the weakest songs in the catalog, but looking at it as a cool kind of Black and Blue throwback, with some, Kissisms in there, it's fun. So yeah, surprising thumbs up and surprising highlight on these last few listens for me. Jamie, you looked shocked at my commentary, so I feel you want to refute that.
Yeah, I did give you some stinky eyebrows there, didn't I? Yeah, I think it is completely just a pastiche Ace track. I wish he would just write a song instead of this whole spacey connotation bollocks. I mean, it's still great. And I do love Tommy, and I do think he gets a rough ride. I really do. The guy worked for Gene for years. He's been part of the Kiss camp for years. And one day they went, "Do you want to join Kiss?" Who the fuck would say no to that? It's just ludicrous to think that he wouldn't. And he's a great player. He does Ace better than Ace does sometimes. And kind of the stuff that he brings to the other tracks just sounds great as well. This is my little Tommy appreciation moment because I always love seeing him when I see him live. I just think he's great, and he gets a lot of flack for kind of the way that he plays the Crazy Night solo or something, as if he was going to have a whammy bar in his fucking Les Paul and start doing what Bruce Kulick does. It's just no, that's how Bruce Kulick plays it. Just like Bruce Kulick never used to play the Detroit Rock City solo like Ace Frehley would play it. Anyway, that little rant's over. Yeah, the Midnight Rocket line makes me cringe every time I hear it because it's so what you're saying, Tommy, is you're going on a rocket ride, and it just buys back into the whole Ace Frehley thing. Funnily, when I was listening to it, revisiting the album, I thought, why couldn't they just write a Black and Blue style song? So it's interesting to hear you, Greg, say that you think this is just a Black and Blue song done kind of under the monster production and whatnot. But for me, give me a Miss Mystery type of track that he co-wrote on over this any day, where the lyrical content isn't all spacey and rockety. I mean, there are loads of metaphors he could have used for his dick as opposed to kind of let's go to space on a fucking rocket. Just talk to Gene, he'll give him plenty. I'm sure Gene's just got a book full of ways to say, let me put this in you. And he could have borrowed from that. But yeah, I'm a sucker for an entire track through a phaser, so I like that. That reminded me of an Ace vocal track as well. And I can't remember what it is, but I'm certain it's on Rock and Roll Over, which I should be ashamed of because I have that tattooed on my arm there.
So Mike, I want Billy to go last since he ranked this the highest. Do you hear the Black and Blue influences that I'm talking about, or am I crazy?
I've never have made the Black and Blue connection before. I don't think that you're wrong, though. I don't think that's entirely out of place. I thought that was interesting to hear. As for the song, for the most part over the last 8 years, I've always thought I liked it even more than When Lightning Strikes, the Tommy song from Sonic Boom, until we were preparing for the Sonic Boom podcast, and I was like, ooh, I don't know, I'm really digging When Lightning Strikes, so I'm not sure. Still, I guess I'd probably take Out of This World. Is it an Ace-ish song? Sure, absolutely. You know, the whole Shock Me, When Lightning Strikes, Rocket Ride, Out of This World. Yeah, that's obvious. There's no denying that. But just like we were talking about, All for the Love of Rock and Roll being like the Peter song of the album, even though it's Eric. You know, Tommy's doing the Ace song on the album. Is it absolutely necessary? No. Would I say, hey, venture a little bit out and you don't have to do that? Sure, I would say that, but I'm also not one of those Kiss fans who gets offended by it. I get why they're doing it. I think the end result is a song that I really enjoy, so that makes me happy. And then a semi-related note, because it came up on this song, and it's come up at least 3 times during this podcast, at least. You know, credit to Kiss, because so many people want to shit on Kiss. Oh yeah, Kiss sucks. They can't write songs. They're not good musicians. And at least 3 times on this podcast, they've been compared to other bands. Like, oh yeah, but they don't sound like that because they played the song too well and they were too tight and they were too musically proficient. So, big props to Kiss. They aren't good at sucking.
Big props to Kiss, or lower props to us for just not thinking of better bands. But no, I mean, Kiss are very competent professional players. They're extremely underrated. Paul Stanley as a vocalist is criminally underrated. One of the top singers in rock, and is just not even in the conversation with a lot of people. Paul Stanley, pre 2006, one of the top singers in rock. But Billy, thoughts on Out of This World? You ranked it high, and earlier you said that Tommy was one of the highlights and saving graces of this album.
I like Tommy a lot. Look, I'm sure it's sacrilegious. I'm not an Ace Frehley fan. I don't get it. I don't like it. I've seen him since live on his own, and I thought he sucked. He was awful, and his wiener was kind of out, and it was very distracting because his pants were too tight and his wiener was kind of on the side.
I feel like you and Steve are best friends now.
I think he hit maybe 3 out of every 10 notes that he played correctly. I just don't get it. I think he has a shitty voice. I think he's sloppy Joe guitar player. I like Tommy's voice better. I like Tommy's style better. If we're going to have a Spaceman song, I'd rather Tommy sing it. I think my only regret out of all this is that we didn't get more chances for Tommy to spread his wings a little bit. I would have rather he sang Out of This World than Shock Me on these tours for the last few years.
So the collective jaw drops amongst the panel was just beautiful to see. Your show wasn't called Hot Takes with Billy Business for nothing, which I know was an ironic title, but damn, that was impressive. Bravo. I clap for that.
All I can see it, man.
Man. Like my hot take nickname was given to me begrudgingly, where just people started, saying that to me, but
I'm not trying to be contrarian. I truly don't get it. Every Ace thing I've seen, it's like, oh, but that's what makes Ace great, is that he doesn't quite hit it every time. Like, okay, well, I'd rather listen to the guy personally that knows how to play the fucking song correctly. So sorry if that's a crazy wild take, is that I prefer musicianship over look at how neat his name's Ace.
I agree with you to a degree. I think Ace has a level of creativity, and when he's on, has created some amazing stuff. But, as mentioned on other podcasts, I have worked with, stupid Italian drummers who remind you that they're Italian every 5 minutes, and drugged up guitar players who play the parts wrong. And so when you play with guys who just show up on time and play the parts right, you're like, this is great, and you're just so happy. So from that perspective, I absolutely see why Gene and Paul were like, let's hang out with these guys who show up on time, who are nice, who play the parts better. Let's just hang out with those dudes instead.
To show up on stage 25 minutes late to play horrible covers of his songs that just affirmed my opinion that I would take Tommy any day of the week over Ace. 1000%.
Jamie, any comments on the sacrilege before we move on? I just saw your face look horrified.
It's okay. We're all entitled to our opinions, even wrong ones.
I could tell by the ranking of Take Me Down Below that you're absolutely correct. It's totally fine to like shitty things. It's more than okay to be wrong.
That's the best summary of our podcast. It's okay to like shitty things.
So, Out of This World, Take Me Down Below is not next. Next up on the list, we have Right Here, Right Now. So coming in third in our ranking, Right Here, Right Now. So, Billy, you rate this as number one. How shocked are you that that Take Me Down Below is above this in the ranking?
Maybe it's just because I'm getting older, but like, ironically funny things are just not appealing to me anymore.
Yeah.
So I don't get like, oh, I'm going to Take Me Down Below number one because it's ironic because penises and submarines. All right, sure. Not for me. I guess I'll wait for that one. But I right here, right now, I think the biggest like thing is like, I can't believe this was not like technically on the album. This for me is like the most interesting sounding song that they have done in years. And it was like, I just like by luck got this song because who buys CDs anymore, you know? I had the vinyl and I don't even think it's on the vinyl.
Yeah, on that note, I wanted to, give props to Steve for being Canadian, because the Canadian version of this album is the way to go. It's the complete 13-song version with this as the bonus track. So thank you for your country in that regard, Steve.
You're welcome. From me, personally, who was involved in this decision somehow.
Well, I mean, I don't know. Were you still Canadian at that point in 2012?
Yes, I was Canadian until last year.
Right. Well, yeah, I knew that, but I meant, were you still living in Canada in 2012?
No, I was in Nashville by then.
Yeah,
Okay.
he was hanging out with me at this point.
You were still using your connections to Canada to make this the bonus track. So thank you.
So I like Billy, am completely correct and ranked this song at the very top. I ranked it somewhat sarcastically initially, and then my notes just say, right here on the couch, right now, 11 a.m. on a Thursday in quarantine, motivated as heck. But honestly, 2 hours later, the owner of my company called me up and told me I didn't have a job anymore. So there's the part of me that's like, you know what? I like this positivity. I like, Paul Stanley just doing a song saying, hey, you can do it. You can seize the day. You can do whatever you want. Much more than, people made fun of me for the way I can dress. I can do it. I kind of like this song. Now, sitting here on the porch late at night, somewhat drunk and sad, talking to a bunch of nerds about Kiss on the internet, I'm like, tell me I can do anything I want, Paul. Motivate me. That song on the album.
I mean, Kiss is good motivation fuel. You can put together a kick-ass playlist of Kiss songs that'll get you pumped to just take on the world, grab life by the balls, follow your dreams. When I listen to this song in preparation for this, I've been listening to it every day this week and a couple days last week, and then as soon as I finished listening to this song, I'm like, I just get the urge to work, and then just went to work on the screenplay I've been working on immediately after, and it gets you pumped. Just no excuses, get it done. Take a picture of your watch at 4:30 in the morning and work out. Just do it. The thing is, there are so many other Kiss songs that I feel do this better, but it's still peak Kiss and what I love about Kiss, and I probably ranked it too low looking at my ranking, where when I do my rankings, I usually I shoot from the hip and just how I'm feeling at the moment. But it's a damn good song, a damn good message, and this is the kind of stuff that makes you proud to be a Kiss fan, is lyrical content like this. Jamie, why don't you work out to this? You ranked it second from the bottom. Why does this get you pumped, bro?
This is the sort of thing that makes you proud to be a Kiss fan, and then they strike it from the record, and that's why you remember why you're not proud to be a Kiss fan anymore.
Who needs to work out to this when you can just have Parasite from Alive on repeat? I'll be honest, I think by the time I got to this track, I was probably just kind of sick of the album and just fatigued from how loud it all was. That I probably was just like, well, this needs to go somewhere. And I think did I put it last?
Second last.
Second last, yeah. I think that was just kind of probably a lazy point on my on my front. I think what I'll do, seeing as though everyone's kind of been gushing over it here, is I'll probably post-podcast, or maybe after a sleep, get up and maybe I'll use it when I'm working out tomorrow. So yeah, I'll get back to you.
And Mike, you ranked this 1 point higher than I did. So right here, right now, thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, it's that classic Paul Kiss anthemic song, and Jamie said, "Why would you work out to that when you can work out to Parasite?" And they're just two very different, very awesome things. I mean, Parasite is a great song, but by no means an anthem. Whereas Right Here, Right Now is by no means a Parasite, but it's an awesome anthem. Clearly should have been on the album, not just with Kiss, but just in life. I hate bonus tracks and 6 months later special editions, 2 years later special editions, this bonus track for this country because we like this country better, and then this retailer can have this cool bonus track. I just hate all of it. It's just so annoying to me. I know it's music business, music industry, but it's just the most obnoxious thing. Especially when you hear, if you find out, now we have the internet, so it's so easy to find this stuff, but when that was less prevalent, I would find out about bonus tracks like years later sometimes and be like, what? And so often they're so good, and it's like, who's making these decisions to leave this off? That's just kind of a random bonus track rant and not really specific to this song or podcast or anything. But yeah, it's a really cool song. It's just a shame. I feel like in general, Monster as an album has been underplayed live, and this is definitely a song I would have liked to have seen live, but, life is what it is.
On the quick subject of bonus tracks, you would have lost your mind with the last Smashing Pumpkins album we did, where there was like 6 different versions of the album, different colors at different stores with different bonus tracks, and the song that won the ranking was one of the bonus tracks.
Yeah, it's insane. I mean... But yeah, I'm talking to guys who know what I'm talking about, so I don't need to reiterate it. But Target version, Walmart version, Canada version, Japanese version.
Let's shift away from something negative that's bringing us all down, and something that's just going to lift up our spirits. The magnum opus of Kiss, of Humans, one of the greatest pieces of art. 3 of us put this at the number 1 spot in the ranking.
What is wrong with you weirdos?
Take Me Down.
Number 1.
Take Me Down Below is next on the list. Sorry.
Look, I get why Mike did it. What's wrong with you other two?
I mean, honestly, you could have made it an instrumental, and I still might have put it at number 1. I just really dig it.
This, to me, feels like one of the most authentic, sincere things Kiss has ever done. And...
They're all just telling stories about this one time I met a chick and she touched my peanuts.
Yes.
That is very
and
authentic.
the thing is, here is how I imagine the process. Gene started the song, and he had the dumbest lyrics. And then Paul was listening to the song this is a really cool song. I want to sing a verse, and it's going to be awesome. And because
I'm going to acknowledge the existence of the clitoris.
And because Paul is the boss of the band, Gene didn't have any say, so Paul got to sing his verse. And that verse and the line about being wet is so explicit that your jaw just drops, and you're just impressed that they went there. But it's so catchy. It's so fun. There's vibrancy to it. There's a great solo. And also, it is sort of a canonical acknowledgement of the Kiss Cruise in lyrical form. So, bringing the whole canon together, it's nice that the Kiss Cruise got acknowledged in song form. But it just feels so authentic and sincere. And Psycho Circus, they were like, we shouldn't do sex songs because people might think they're dumb and outdated. There's no concern with that here. They're just having fun and going for it. And yes, it's silly. And yes, part of my enjoyment of it is ironic. I still enjoy ironic things. I enjoy a lot of stuff ironically. But even without the ironic level, it's so catchy and just... you feel like they had so much fun with this, and that fun is infectious. And yeah, I think it's one of the best Kiss songs, period, and worth the price of admission. I love it. Masterpiece. Not S rank, not double S rank, not triple S rank, quadruple S rank. Mwah. Chef's kiss.
I will only disagree with that very last part because I do think it's a double S rank because it's the Kiss double S and it is perfect.
All right, that's fair.
Lovely. Billy, kick some like sensibility into this conversation, please.
I mean, do you want to hear your grandpa talk about wet pussies? I really don't. Do you want to hear a 7-year-old guy? By the way, how fucking stupid where he's like, I got a submarine, if you know what I mean. As a matter of fact, I don't. I have never heard a fucking erection called a submarine before. If you're like, hey, check out my submarine, I'd have no clue what you were talking about. So that euphemism, you can't just say a noun and be like, you know what I mean. No, nobody knows what you mean. You sick old freak who can't even get an erection without Viagra. If you want to be authentic to this, why don't you write the whole verse about I took a pill so I could get a thrill, and then maybe I'm on board. But I don't want to hear 7-year-olds talk about boners and pussies. Done. I'm out. Can it right now. Put it in the Christine 16 file. You're too old. Talk about like rah rah, we're the best, or America, whatever. But no more wet pussies and submarines. I'm done. I'm out. It's gross. It's dumb. It's too cheesy. It crosses the line. The irony is completely lost where I just feel embarrassed for them. I was listening to that just cringing, like just fucking stop. Just fucking stop. Let Tommy just play like a 20-minute solo to bleach this out of my fucking ears. Terrible. Awful. I'm glad you guys enjoyed it, but woof. Woof.
So I have a question. Since you weren't on Sonic Boom, how did you feel about the Baby Feel My Tower of Power line from Sonic Boom?
It was less offensive to me than submarine and wet pussies. Paul Stanley and wet pussies is the grossest thing. I don't know. Maybe since like the invention of Spam. It's pretty horrifying.
Spam's actually pretty good if you cook it over an open flame.
Yeah, if you cook
so
it well.
is a wet pussy, I guess, then.
Oh, damn.
You want to see my open flame, if you know what I mean?
I'm gonna get nuts here and reference Star Trek: The Next Generation.
Please do.
There is an episode. I don't remember the name of the episode. I don't remember the season. I don't remember the character's name. It's not a main character. It's like a one random alien guy they run into or whatever. But in his culture, they commit suicide when they turn 60 because it is believed that you're not. You're past your prime, but you're probably not like decrepit at that point. So 60 is a good age. You'll kill yourself. Go out on a high note or high-ish note or whatever before you get really old and senile. And then Troy's mother happens to be on the episode, and she's in love with him. And she's like, "You can't kill yourself. This is terrible. What kind of culture would do this? You could have 20 great years left, whereas someone might be 40." And already be disabled or something, and then they have to wait 20 years to kill themselves at 60. So it's really dumb to limit it to 60. So the reason I reference all that, if you don't know where this is going, is that I understand it's like, oh, this is weird. These guys are kind of old. Why are they still singing about sex like they're in their 20s? Yet at the same point, it's like, what is the purpose of all of us living and staying alive and like going for jogs and taking vitamins if we're just gonna like metaphorically die, so if they still like sex and want to have sex and can't have sex.
You are assuming by this point that either the girls that they are referencing in this song are young, gross, or they're age appropriate, which already being
gross.
wet is not going to happen.
I mean,
specifically not going to happen.
And honestly, this might be selfish. And maybe I'm totally wrong to assume that Kiss is writing songs for me. But I assume that Kiss is writing songs for me. People like me. I got a kick out of the song. Like, I mean, right away is, I like the thump of the song musically. And then Gene starts singing. And then, whereas you hated the submarine line, I absolutely love it. Did I laugh out loud? Absolutely. The first time I heard it, I started laughing, and I was like, I love this new Kiss album so much. I mean, that is what
Immediately added it to his Twitter profile.
Monster for me. Yeah, it's just fun. Is it stupid? Sure. You know, Paul, the wet thing. Is it crude? Sure. Is it a maybe a Kiss Cruise reference? I like to think so. Greg likes to think so. So
submarines, cruises, they kept
exactly submarine
going.
Already wet. I mean, I recognize the absurdity of it. Believe me, I'm not like, oh no, this is deep and meaningful.
It also seems strange because they've cultivated now, I would say in the last 15 years, this image of like the Kiss Army now is like everybody. And like they, maybe up until this song, I would say like, well, they wouldn't do Take It Off or some of those songs from, the Revenge album now, because that's kind of not what their brand is. So this also seems like going off brand for what? Like, I don't know, like Take It Off at least had like a really catchy kind of chorus, but this, I don't get it. I truly don't get it.
I think they went off brand because they were just like having fun, not overthinking it. I think they was just like very much just them in the flow and being like, you know what, let's not overthink this. Let's just do it. And I think that's part of the beauty of it, is how sincere it feels. And to reference a comment from Steve in an earlier episode where he feels that every Kiss song is sung from the perspective of one character, which is just the sentient collective being that is Kiss. So all of Kiss is one character, and Kiss is this ageless character, so they might be in their 70s IRL singing it, but Kiss the character is still in his 20s on a cruise ship.
That's that lame Hulk Hogan like, oh, I never said my penis was 6 feet long. Hulk Hogan's penis was, brother, but Terry Bollea's penis is 4 inches, which, by the way, that's a real thing. Go look it up. He literally argued in court that talking about his penis size, that his penis was in character. It's great.
See? That's great. This is just the K-pop. That is Kiss. Jamie.
This Kiss, the Lovecraftian monster.
As for Kiss going off brand, I feel like in a lot of ways the whole Monster album, but just the whole concept of a new Kiss album in 2012 is kind of going off brand. I mean, for the most part, casual people weren't going to hear it or listen to it or buy it or whatever. It was for them. They were feeling the mojo still after doing Sonic Boom. They had more song ideas and they just felt like recording again. And it was, for fans, for fans like me and Greg and whoever else, Jamie, and I mean, you, Billy and Steve, if you want in on this, I'm not excluding anybody, but just fans who wanted it and who wanted to enjoy it. So I get what you're saying, that they do these shows with kids now and everything. And so, yeah, would you play this for an 8-year-old kid? No, not necessarily, but it's, I don't know. I see them as separate things, even though they're both Kiss things. And then, I don't know, you mentioned Take It Off having a catchy chorus, but not this one. I don't know, I love the chorus on Take Me Down and Below. It's pretty simple, but I feel like it's very catchy as well.
Jamie, you also ranked this at number 1.
Well, yeah, it's the best song on the album, so of course it is. I do understand kind of like all of the points that are being raised. If this is about the Kiss Cruise, I want to go on the Kiss Cruise.
Points being raised.
If this is about the Kiss Cruise, I need to buy myself a ticket because the Kiss Cruise sounds like one massive sex party. And into it.
It is, but everyone always wears white T-shirts.
Well, I get that reference. Brilliant. Yeah, it's great. I think that the song itself was never, ever, 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 ever going to get played live, ever, which is a shame. But for the last 2 Kiss albums, you got 2 or 3 new songs off the album, and the song that predictably finished first place was always going to be the song off Monster that they played live. This was never going to get played live, so it's just a fun piece of kind of Kissery, so to speak, isn't it? I love it. I think it's great. It's the song that fits like a glove could have been if Gene could have been asked in the 80s. I remember in the authorized Kiss biography where they're talking about writing Fits Like a Glove, I'm pretty certain that the songwriter says something like, we just threw lots of dumb lyric ideas around and eventually went, yep, that'll do. And this kind of sounds like that again, except it worked. Yeah. I love it. I love all of it. I'm perfectly fine to hear Paul Stanley talk about how wet he gets pussies, because, let's be honest, he does. He still does right now. I know he does. He gets my pussy wet and I don't have one.
Also, Billy, for what
You know
it's
what?
worth.
I think that's the.
Greg, sorry.
Oh, go ahead.
Okay, I was just gonna say, for what it's worth, and I'm not just saying this now. I've been convinced of this for 8 years that Gene actually, believe it or not, showed restraint on "Take Me Down Below," because I'm convinced that last line, she threw the covers and we started a rock. She whispered, "You can take me bottom or top." I'm convinced the original lyric in there involved cock somehow. I mean, how did it not? And perhaps even they were.
That's just Paul really emphasizing that he's a switch.
I just figured that Gene's so terrible with lyrics that he literally couldn't figure out.
He literally couldn't rhyme cock in there. Yeah.
I think Peter talks about Paul being a switch in his autobiography. I mean, that is true. That is true. He does. He does.
I think that does come up. Yeah.
I think he's on about the hotter than hell cover, and being on about. I think there's two blokes in the corner, piping each other off, and something about Paul being very worried that a dick would go in his mouth. And I think Peter's kind of comment on it is, we all thought he was gay anyway because he drew the best cocks out of anybody. The only way you can draw balls on a cock that well is if you've sucked a few. I think is the line. It's something like that.
I actually want to give a shout out to my good friend and cousin Brian, who will end up listening to this podcast.
Hi, Brian. I like your band.
Yeah, good band. He's working on a ton of new material, Greg. You're gonna love it. It's been great so far. But to come to his defense, if he did turn out to be gay, I would still totally love him. But I'm very thoroughly convinced he is not a gay man. He lives with a great girlfriend. Has had many beautiful girlfriends, and that guy draws a great dick. So I don't know. I don't know if Peter is correct about that assessment.
Well, fair enough.
And also, like, glam guys always get accused of being gay. Like, my mom thought I was gay for years because I would wear, the makeup and heels and glam outfits on stage. Like, are you gay? I'm like, no, I'm not. My mom's like, it's okay if you are. Like, no, I'm not. I just think Kiss and Motley Crue are cool. I'm not gay, Mom. Thanks.
I mean, I'm sure you can suck a cock and not be gay. I mean, again, in Peter's book, I'm sure it talks about Ace sucking Peter's cock a little bit, and Ace isn't gay, so, we can all be a little bit gay sometimes, and that's fine.
Yeah, nothing wrong with that. Anyway, we're on the number one song in the ranking, earning that explicit
I love
title.
this podcast. I'm sad to see it sort of end. I mean, it's not because...
I mean, we're going to keep recording this shit.
Right.
For ages to come. I mean, we can't leave our houses. What else are we going to do?
Sure.
We were doing a terrible podcast before it was cool. All you said.
It's so bizarre to me because we get like messages and stuff about the podcast all the time, and people find my private email address, which I don't know how they do, and they're like, I love your show. And they're always talking about the Kiss episodes, and I am amazed that you have stuck it out with us through all these. There's only so many times we can say this song is also about Paul Stanley's penis, but somehow we were able to make all this hashtag content for you folks out there.
I was part of a Twitter thread today specifically about Paul Stanley's penis, of all things. I got brought in by somebody that doesn't like Kiss, and it ended up being a Twitter thread about Paul Stanley's penis. I think it's like the Kevin Bacon effect. You're never more than kind of 3 clicks away from Paul Stanley's penis.
All right, let's go through the list from the bottom to the top. As in the song, Wall of Sound, Freak, Long Way Down, Shout Mercy, Last Chance, The Devil Is Me, Eat Your Heart Out, All for the Love of Rock and Roll, Bat to the Stone Age, Out of This World, Right Here, Right Now, Take Me Down Below, which should have won, but didn't. But the best song on Monster by Kiss, according to this panel of experts, Hell or Hallelujah, the single, won the ranking. That happens all the time on this show because it's the one that almost everyone agrees is, yeah, pretty good. No one actively dislikes it, and that's why it always wins, except when it doesn't. But yeah, Hell or Hallelujah, this is what modern-day Delilah should have been. It has much more energy than Modern Day Delilah. It feels more sincere, which has been sort of a running theme of this album, but just like, it feels more urgent. it feels like they're having fun. I really like how Paul is singing along with the guitar leads at certain points in the song, which he should absolutely not be doing with the condition his voice is in. But the fact that he went for it, and it sort of works, even though you can tell he's having some pitch issues and straining, there's so much fun there that you give it a pass. This is just fun. And just, I think that's where this album really succeeds, is that certain songs are really goofy and stupid, but they're also fun, and like that's what Kiss is for a good chunk. You know, Billy made a good point that there's different flavors of Kiss and different elements to what they do, different sounds, but there's a good chunk of Kiss that is really stupid lyrically and really fun, and I think this song is actually a little bit more clever lyrically than the average Kiss song, but it's just so damn fun. I love it. Thumbs up. Stone Cold Kiss classic.
I agree, and I'm happy to hear you agree with me in terms of it's what modern day Delilah should have been. Like I mentioned earlier tonight, I think it was literally like a 30-second clip or something on Amazon or something like that. It's like, oh, new Kiss song, Hallelujah. I'm like, I'm gonna listen to it. Like, I had friends who were like, no, I'm gonna wait till the whole song is ready. Or I'm gonna wait till the whole album is ready. And I can't wait when it comes to Kiss. And I just remember right away being like, hell yeah, this is it. This is what I'm talking about. Like, I dig those up-tempo, riffy songs, and like you said, it's more energy. So I think it is. It's just more representative of Kiss to me, more representative of the respective album to me than Modern Day Delilah for its album. And yeah, it's got that sweet riff. You know, is it kind of I Stole Your Love? Is it kind of Burned by Deep Purple? Sure, but is it a sweet riff? It is. So why not crank it up and just love it?
Yeah, I mean, you, Jamie, and Billy all ranked it in the exact same spot, so all put it at number 2. So, Jamie, what are your thoughts on Hell or Hallelujah, Stone Cold Kiss classic?
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, I think there are probably 200 Stone Cold Kiss classics, but yeah, I can never decide which I prefer out of this or Modern Day Delilah, and it seems that Kiss prefer Modern Day Delilah based upon their setlist choices. I looked to see how many times I've seen them do this live, and it turns out that I have only seen them do it once, so I don't know whether it's still kept in the set when they do US shows, but in Europe it kind of got one setlist run, and that was when I saw them at Download Festival in 2015. I discovered that completely by accident because I was watching Kiss Rocks Vegas. Here's a little tangent. And I was like, fuck yeah, they're doing Creatures of the Night. God, I'd kill to see them do Creatures of the Night. And it turns out I've seen them play Creatures twice. So that's how good my memory is. But yeah, it's a great song. It's got everything that you want in a Kiss song. Paul sounds, like Paul would sound at that point in his career. The riffs are great. The band are great. The solo's great. It's just, yeah, it's one of my it's probably my favourite Tommy solo out of the 2 records because I think he just absolutely brings it. He does everything that you would want from a Kiss record that wants to think it sounds like Destroyer and Revenge but doesn't. It's great. Yeah, just great track.
So Billy,
but not as good as
Stone Cold Kiss classic? No, you're correct. Not as good as Take Me Down Below, but still a Stone Cold Kiss classic. Billy, Stone Cold Kiss classic?
Yeah, I think so. It's definitely the most high energy song that they've had in the last 20 plus years. They did this one when they did the tour with Motley Crue opening, and I remember like that was the first time that I saw that they had these like custom kind of animations on some of the songs on the video screens, and this one was like a really cool like James Bondy type silhouette of a woman with all these fire and everything. It's great. I like the song. I have nothing constructive or criticizing to say. It's a quintessential Kiss song.
And Steve, you ranked it the lowest. What do you think about the single winning the ranking?
I mean, it's downright fine. I'm not surprised it won. When I was doing my own rankings, I was like, I should probably stop putting the decent arena rock opening song that they put on most of these albums so high in my ranking. So I bumped it down a few spaces lower than it could have been. Like, I'm not offended. It is what it is.
Yeah, I mean, it is what it is. But hey, dude, you've done it. You've listened to every Kiss album. You did it.
Listen to every Kiss album, and then there's some more Kiss stuff I have to listen to.
Yeah, well,
Yeah,
but hey,
there is.
To your credit, every Kiss album, and then like bonus tracks from compilations and everything. What do you? I mean, Greg, how many songs, not including like rare demos that haven't even officially been released, but like how many songs by Kiss has Steve not heard? Like 2, 3?
oh man, spoilers for where we're going with this podcast, but why not? So the plan I have for this is we are going to do a collective ranking the albums episode as a conclusion to this story arc in Steve's life of listening to Kiss albums. So we will do that, and I'm not sure how I would do that. I might try to get like every panelist we've ever had on a Kiss episode to send in their rankings, and then those who are available to talk about the ranking be either that day or doing like separate episodes and compiling together. I don't know what we're going to do for that. We'll figure it out. But as far as other tracks, there's like maybe 10 or so like miscellaneous tracks that Steve hasn't heard, which is Kiss leftovers. So like Strutter 78 and Samurai Sun and the other song that Mormoro Clover Z did with Kiss, Don't Touch My Ascot. So I made a playlist of those. So we'll get into that. Do you remember Rock and Roll Radio? So Steve will get to do that.
Huzzah!
And the Wicked Lester album, because we've had a number of requests for that. And then because we'll probably take a little bit of a break because we've gone through a lot of Kiss. But we'll probably do the live albums because the download numbers are so good. And we know that most of our fans are here for the Kiss episodes because, like, hey, that glam rock band that sounds a lot like Kiss. I like when they talk about Kiss. So, you know, Kiss and Kiss-adjacent bands will still be a part of the program, even though we've made it to the end of our catalog, and we'll do the big catalog ranking. But yeah, wrap-up thoughts on the episode, and I guess the Kiss catalog while we're here. Billy, wrap-up thoughts on this album, and just your thoughts on, like, the overall catalog. I'll bring you back on for the catalog ranking in some capacity, but just general thoughts here as we close out on Monsters being the end of the Kiss story currently.
It's the middle of the road Kiss. I kind of wish that it was not the end of the Kiss. I realize now in this 5-hour-long discussion of the longest Kiss album to date that my affinity for Sonic Boom is probably not the norm, but I think Sonic Boom to me was like a good mixture of new songs kind of remixed with old pieces. It felt very like Rise of Skywalker-y. It felt very close the loop and maybe a satisfying way for some and not for others. This, I don't know. Like, I don't think about Monster that much. I certainly don't play it as much as any others in my big Kiss playlists. I think I have Hella Hallelujah and maybe one or two other of these songs, but not a lot of Monster representation. It's fine. It's not bad. I don't hate it. But it's certainly, for me, it kind of goes out on a little bit of a whimper more than a bang.
Jamie, how do you feel about this being the last Kiss album? Is this the Rise of Skywalker of Kiss albums?
I think I do agree with a lot of what Billy just said there. Like I think I've got quite a sentimental attachment to Sonic Boom, which I think is why I probably prefer Sonic Boom over Monster, even though Sonic Boom doesn't have Take Me Down Below on it. Just because it was kind of the first new Kiss album that was released during kind of my tenure as a Kiss fan, so I think I have like a real kind of sentimental relationship with it and whatnot. But you know, Monster's fine. I don't think Kiss have ever released a bad album. Yeah, that's it.
Mike, your thoughts on Monster as being the final chapter of the Kiss story? Is it a Rocky V or is it a Rocky Balboa?
Well, yeah, much like track 3 on the album, I am a freak, and I maybe put this as high as a top 5 Kiss album. I really love it. I think if you have it in change Kiss history, put it out in 1978 instead of the solo albums with like an Alive 2 production, I think it would be considered just an absolute Kiss masterpiece. I think fans would jizz on it and just absolutely love it. I don't know. It just screams awesome Kiss album to me. And I know, we've pointed out a lot of funny things about it, silly things about it. I've even admitted to that, sure. But 1978, life was different back then. Like, we hadn't heard every single take on rock music at that point. So I think it would have sounded a lot fresher back then and everything. And I feel like a lot of people were less jaded back then. A lot of the fan base wasn't in their 40s, 50s, and 60s or whatever back then. So I think, again, make it a 1978 Kiss album, and I think you're putting it right near the top of Kiss albums. So I know a lot of fans aren't that happy with it. For me, if it ends up being their last album, I'm super happy with that. I thought Sonic Boom was great. I think Monster excelled even higher. I love Kiss, so I wish they did keep making more new music. But we'll see what happens. Oh, as for Rocky, it's definitely not a Rocky 5. Yeah, it's like a Rocky Balboa. I mean, I feel like Sonic Boom. Sonic Boom is the Rocky Balboa. On that note, yeah, it was Easter, and I did see my parents, and then Rocky Balboa happened to be on TV, and my dad and I were watching it, and I just remember thinking, dude, Steve, come on, man, this is such a good movie. Yeah, I feel like if you're gonna do that analogies, Psycho Circus was the Rocky 5 in a way, just kind of disappointing. Although I feel like that's harsh on Psycho Circus to compare it to Rocky 5. But
whoa, both are great, sir. Both are great, sir. Back it up. Back it up.
Then Rocky Balboa, Sonic Boom, great comparison, because Rocky Balboa is what Rocky 5 should have been. Sonic Boom is what Psycho Circus should have been, and then Monster's not Creed 1, so I don't know what Monster is. It's just Monster is Rocky Balboa 2, if such a movie existed.
I'll go brief. I like the album. I think it's a much better note to end on than Sonic Boom, which to me felt very forced. This feels very organic, fun, and fresh, like they enjoyed making it, and that they didn't care too much about the consequences of it. They just went in, banged out a record, and did what they were feeling, and they had fun making it. I had fun listening to it. Steve, you've listened to every Kiss album. General thoughts on Kiss, and did they close out with a Rocky 3 or a Rocky Balboa?
I would be more inclined to say they closed out with a Rambo 4. So
you hated it.
It's getting a little bit long in the tooth, and it's getting more polished, but it's still fundamentally the same thing. I would say this is a better album than the last couple, in that this one feels a lot less like they were attempting to just recreate something from their heyday. Psycho Circus, felt very much like Destroyer Part 2 kind of thing. And so did whatever the next one after that was. I forget its name. Despite you guys having said it 15 times in the last 3 minutes. That one also felt like let's do Destroyer Part 3. This one felt much more like just get in there and create an album that is in the style of everything that they've... in the sort of amalgam style of what Kiss produces without, trying to chase their earlier success. So artistically, I respect it as a way to go out. Although it's still a pretty meh album that I'm not super excited about.
And that is our show, ladies and gentlemen. A nice two-parter. Excellent guests. Where can we find you on the internet, Billy?
Check out Reboot It on YouTube. That's my new show. Season 2 is happening right now, and that is live on YouTube.
And I will add an applause drops later. Jamie, where can people find you and your amazing production?
Probably best to find me via my band, Be Quiet Shout Loud. We're available on all the platforms. We'll inevitably have a new single out by the time Part 1's out, and then another new single out by the time Part 2's out, because we're releasing music every single month during this lockdown, because that's what the people didn't ask for.
And Mike, what do you feel like promoting this week?
Yeah, I'm a worthless human being, so I have nothing original of my own to promote. Especially by the time this gets released, I have just found out that there's supposed to be a new Tokyo Motor Fist album coming out in July, so this will hopefully sync up decent with that. The first one came out a few years ago, it was quite good, so check out the new one in July, Tokyo Motor Fist.
And Steve, where can people find us on the internet because they won't find us out in person?
Right. Well, by the time this episode comes out, there will be a brand new Regdar and the Fighters album for them to find on all streaming platforms, but they can also find us wherever Lipstick Generation products are found on all streaming platforms under the name lipstickgeneration.com and on the YouTubes and Facebooks and things like that, or Mr. Cool Rock and Roll sometimes when usernames are required to be shorter than 17 characters.
And that's our episode. Bye, Internet!
Bye.
Thanks for listening to the Lipstick Panel, hosted by Lipstick Generation. Lipstick Generation's music can be found on all major streaming platforms and at lipstickgeneration.com. If you're listening to the podcast on YouTube, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Let us know your ranking of the subject in the comments down below. Feel free to leave us an episode suggestion also. If you're listening on Apple Podcasts or your favorite podcast app, please leave a review and tell a friend about our show. Thanks and rock on!